Stop. Don't scroll. God has instructed me to find you. There was a recent gesture you made, something small, something you might have already forgotten, but it was so amazing in the eyes of heaven that God is releasing a miracle for you this week. This is not a random message. This is a divine appointment. You have felt it in your body, a weariness that sleep doesn't touch. You wake up more tired than when you went to bed because your soul has been on watch all night. It's a physical weight, a soul-deep fatigue that makes even the smallest decisions feel monumental, as if the cost of choosing wrong is simply too high to bear again. This has bled into your decisions, hasn't it? A paralysis, especially with your finances or your career. You stand before a choice and the memory of past disappointments rises up like a ghost, whispering that it's safer to do nothing than to make another mistake that leads to that familiar sinking feeling in your chest. And it has touched your family. You have chosen silence over conversation, not out of anger, but from a profound lack of emotional energy. You sit at the table with the ones you love most, and a heavy quiet falls. They think you are distant, cold, but you are simply trying to hold yourself together, trying to keep the exhaustion from spilling out all over them. Tonight, I will do 3 things for you under the anointing of the Holy Spirit. First, I will show you exactly where you have been, revealing why your past acts of faith seem to go unnoticed and why the enemy has fought so hard to make you feel invisible. Second, I will deliver a specific word, live, that God has prepared for you. It's a word from the original Hebrew that names the very covenant your gesture has just activated, and when you hear the last of them, you will understand why you are here at this exact moment. And third, before I release you, I will seal this moment by declaring 3 new names over your life, names of identity that will anchor you in the truth of what God is doing. If you leave before the end, you leave without the seal. And the seal is everything. And there's a 4th thing I'll be placing in your hands before this message ends, something that King Solomon recorded for the child of God who needs to cross through a week of intense expectation and which fits into your ordinary day. It is not a book to study. It is an instrument to sustain the weight of a coming miracle. I'll come back to it. For now, stay. Your life has felt like you have been sowing seeds on concrete, but heaven has recorded every single act. That forgotten gesture was not a small thing. It was a seed, and its roots have just broken through the stone. Before I deliver this word to you, you need to understand something. And on that very subject, on holding peace when you wanted to argue, on giving when you felt you had nothing left, on praying when you felt unheard, there is something King Solomon recorded, a 2-minute key that fits into your common day. Tuck it away in the back of your mind. And if you need to leave before the end of this video, that instrument is already waiting for you in the first pinned comment right down below. But I ask you to stay until the end, because without the context that is coming now, the key will not work with the same power in your hand. Have you ever felt that the pattern of your good deeds leading to nothing isn't just human but spiritual? And what if this pattern of giving without receiving is a sign that there is a battle against the purpose God has placed on your life? While many try to explain this away as burnout or bad luck, few realize that the accuser of small deeds doesn't attack what you have done, but what God is about to do through you. But what if the real reason for this spiritual friction is precisely what you haven't yet been able to see about your own significance? Now think with me. What if everything you have been through until today, the unnoticed kindness, the silent prayer, the choice for peace, is the answer to that question you've carried for years? God, do you even see me? It was in seeking answers to this that I found this digital guide called The Code of Solomon's Wisdom. This guide is not just a reading, it is a key for spiritual understanding, a tool made for those who wish to see beyond appearances, to stop treating divine appointments as mere coincidence, and to comprehend why the accuser attacks with such force against those who carry a mark of God. Several chosen ones here on the channel have already felt the call of this instrument, but have not yet made the decision to download the digital guide. Download it right now. It's available in the first pinned comment. If you are one of the first to download it, come back here and write Amen. That will be your act of faith, and today, God may show you the very reason why the cycle of giving, without seeing a return, has been raised against your life. Before I give you the word God has for you, I need you to recognize 5 things that have been happening around you and to you. These are not predictions. They are acknowledgements. 5 signs that heaven has been sending you signals, trying to get your attention. If I am right about at least 3 of these, you and I will both know why you were stopped on this video today. The first is the sign of the echoing prayer. Weeks, maybe months ago, you prayed for something specific. You asked for it, you believed for it, and then nothing. You let it go. You wrote it off. But in the last 3 days, you heard someone else mention that exact thing out of the blue. A stranger, a friend, a voice on the radio. That was not a coincidence. That was God sending you an echo of your own request to show you He has not forgotten the sound of your voice. The second is the sign of the averted conflict. You were right on the edge of a major argument with someone you love. You had your points ready. The anger was rising in your throat. You were ready to win. And then a sudden inexplicable wave of peace, or maybe just exhaustion, washed over you, and you let it go. You chose silence. In that moment, you thought it was weakness. You thought you were giving up, but it was divine intervention. It was heaven preserving a connection that the enemy wanted to sever. The third is the sign of the silent table. You sat down for a meal with your family recently, maybe last week, and a heavy, thick silence fell over the dinner table. You interpreted it as distance, as awkwardness, as a sign that something was broken. But in that quiet, you felt a sudden, overwhelming urge to pray for them, right there, even though you didn't speak a word of it out loud. That silence wasn't a void, chosen one. It was an altar. And your unspoken prayer was an offering that was received. And concerning the silence at your family dinner table that you just recognized, I've already left the instrument waiting for you in the first pinned comment. If you need to leave before the end, it's there. But stay, because the Hebrew name for what is happening to you has not yet been spoken. And before I move on to the 4th and 5th sign, a brief pause. And beyond our digital book, Chosen One, you have here another way to strengthen this message that reached your home today, and to make it reach more and more chosen ones like you. We don't receive a single cent for every word I deliver to you here on this channel every day. As a way for you to give back something of what you receive here, we keep a voluntary donation link open, right below the digital book, in the first pinned comment. Any amount that fits your hand today, any sum your heart points to, that's what keeps our channel standing. That's what makes the next message reach another person who needs it, exactly as you needed it. I'll wait for you there, chosen one. Returning now to the 4th sign. The 4th is the sign of the unexpected gift. In the last few days, you received a small unexpected amount of money, or a small gift you weren't looking for, just enough to cover a minor need or to be a tiny, bright spot in your day. You dismissed it as lucky or a nice surprise. It was neither. It was heaven testing your gratitude with a small seed before the main harvest. It was a down payment on the miracle that is on its way, to see if you would recognize the giver in the small things. And the 5th sign is this video itself. You have tried to scroll past this video, maybe 2 or 3 times. Your thumb felt heavy, or your mind got distracted, or something just kept you here. You are not here by algorithm. You are not here by chance. You are here by divine summons. This is your final sign. This is the period at the end of the sentence God has been writing for you all week. These 5 signs are not symptoms of a breakdown. They are the signs of an awakening. The weariness, the silence, the echo, the gift, the summons. They are all pointing to a single truth. The name of what is awakening in you is held in a single Hebrew word. Before I show you the instrument that Solomon left for the ordinary day, I need to give you the Hebrew name for the covenant you carry, because the instrument only makes sense after you know the name. And there is a word in Hebrew that defines the exact state you are living in, a word that reframes everything I have just described to you in the last few minutes. There is a word in the original Hebrew that changes everything you thought you knew. And what comes next will explain to you why everything happened in this order, and to carry the weight of that name, that covenant, alone for one more night. That is not what Solomon prepared for you. He prepared something else, and that something else is what I am going to deliver to you now. It is not a theory, it is an instrument. The Code of Solomon's wisdom is the instrument that Solomon left for the child of God who needs to cross the ordinary day without losing what was received in the secret place. When you keep sowing seeds on what feels like concrete ground again and again, with no harvest in sight, you need the key that shows you the soil has already been prepared. When you walk through your front door and the silence feels like an accusation, a heavy blanket of unspoken tension, you need the key that turns that silence into a sanctuary. When you say yes to everyone else's needs until there is nothing left for your own, and you feel that familiar spiritual exhaustion setting in, you need the key that teaches you how to guard your own well. And if you're feeling right now that this is exactly what you need, before I even continue, place your thumb now over the link in the first pinned comment. Don't click yet. Just place your thumb. Feel the weight of the decision before you make the decision. This is not a method to do more, it is an instrument to sustain more. It does not train you, it covers you. It shows you where the enemy is working to devalue your small gestures before that work turns into a wrong decision on your part. It interrupts the cycle of giving without seeing a return before it steals the joy of your next act of faith. And the next attack on your joy arrives sooner than you think, and it comes with two seals for your home, not for your performance. The first seal is koidien, the ritual of the righteous sleep in. It's an audio, you don't read it, you lie down. And what you used to call insomnia, today you'll call unsealed vigil, and you'll learn to seal the night with the right name, in the right order, in the right voice. The second seal is the awakening of clarity. The 7 morning decrees. 7 short phrases, 1 for each morning of the week. So you don't wake up again without identity. So you cross the first hour of the day with the posture of one who has been sent, and not with the posture of one who has been run over. And this hesitation you might be feeling right now, that is not your doubt. That is the spiritual friction I spoke of, acting inside you in this very moment, pushing you to close this window. You recognize this pattern. It is time to pray, and a wave of sleepiness hits you. It is time to open the word, and your phone rings with a meaningless distraction. The hesitation you feel now is the final confirmation that you are standing exactly at the point where the turnaround happens. And that is precisely why this next part exists. You have 7 full days to use this instrument and feel its effect. 7 days. If in 7 days the guide has not touched what needs to be touched in you, you can have a full refund. No questions asked, no justification needed. And the 2 seals, the ritual and the decrees, remain with you even if you return the guide. They are yours, unconditionally. But I need to be direct with you. The real risk is not spending less than a Thursday lunch at the deli. The real risk is the next week arriving and you still being empty-handed when the moment of testing comes. That is the risk that has a face. And perhaps you're asking yourself a few questions right now, questions that deserve an answer before we move forward. What if I'm not chosen enough for this message to be for me? The very fact that you are here, that you recognize the signs, that you feel the spiritual friction, is the evidence that this is for you. The enemy does not fight against those who carry nothing of value. What if I spend this money and nothing changes? The guide comes with a 7-day, no questions asked guarantee. The financial risk is mine, not yours. The spiritual risk of doing nothing, however, remains entirely on you. What if this is just another emotional high that fades by morning? This is why the guide is not just a book, but an instrument accompanied by 2 practical seals, the ritual of the righteous sleep and the 7 morning decrees. They are designed to turn this moment's revelation into a daily reality, anchoring you long after the emotion of this video has passed. And yet, if you only want the guide, it is sufficient. But the complete household is built with all 3. A woman of 38, a freelance professional, began using the guide after months of a deep, unshakable weariness. In the first week, after applying the principles for sealing the night, she told me in a single sentence, "I thought it was burnout. It was actually a battle." A 42-year-old small business owner, facing a critical decision he had been putting off for months, felt paralyzed by the fear of repeating a past failure. After using the decrees for 7 days, he finally made the call that changed the course of his business. His message was brief: I called it being careful, but it was just being cornered. A grandmother of 61, whose home felt heavy with the unspoken tensions of her adult children, felt that every family dinner was a silent negotiation. In her second week with the guide, she began to silently pray the decrees over the food. She wrote to me, "I learned that a quiet house isn't peace until you speak God's name into it. Perhaps in 3 hours, you will be lying in bed again, with that knot in your stomach when you chose peace over being right, remembering that you saw this video and still did not reach out your hand. Perhaps next week, when the pressure mounts and the exhaustion sets in, you will think, 'I knew what that was. I just didn't have the instrument in my hand.' And then you remember that time you went out of your way to help a family member, only for them to not only be ungrateful, but to use your generosity against you later. The specific memory of their cutting words, the feeling of your stomach dropping, and the silent vow to never be that foolish again. And the slow erosion of faith continues to arrive, with the same alarm clock, with the same coffee, with the same door opening into the same day. The link is in the first pinned comment, pinned for you, not for everyone, for you. Whoever needs to cross the next week with the instrument in hand clicks now. And when you do this, when you open that link, you are not buying a book. You are accepting an instrument that Solomon prepared for your ordinary day. And what you are about to understand, when you hear the Hebrew word that is coming now, will change the way you read everything that has happened up to this point. And before I deliver the next word that's still coming now, because it's still coming and it weighs, I want to remind you of one thing, chosen one. As I told you earlier, beyond the digital book that's in the first pinned comment, there's that voluntary donation link open right below the book. We continue receiving not a single cent for every word I deliver here for you every day. That's why this link exists, chosen one, so that another person tomorrow finds exactly this word that found you today. Any amount your heart points to. Each gesture like that keeps our channel standing and makes the next message reach whoever needs it, exactly as it reached you today. And one more thing before we return to the message, I want you to know the following. From time to time, here on our channel, I record a special honor video, a thank you video with a special word only to recognize the chosen ones who donated the most, and those who acquired the digital book. All who sustained this word with me deserve that mention of gratitude for such a generous act. You sow here, heaven remembers you up there, and I remember you down here. I'll wait for you there at the link again, chosen one. And now, finally, the Hebrew word that will change everything. The Hebrew word that defines exactly what is happening to you is chesed. Pronounce it with me, chesed. It is often translated as loving kindness or mercy, but that is a pale shadow of its true meaning. Chesed is covenant loyalty. It is a goodness that is bound by an oath, an unstoppable pursuing love that is not based on feeling, but on a sworn promise. It is not just a dictionary translation. It is a word that describes a state, a posture, a calling. It is the quality of your small forgotten gesture. You acted out of chesed, and in doing so, you activated God's own chesed toward you. And when you hear this word, you recognize it, because it was already happening inside you. You just didn't have the name for it. And about this word it is written in Psalm 4 verse 8, "I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety." This is not a promise for the future. It is a declaration of a present state. The only one who can truly say this phrase, with their soul at rest in peace, is the one who understands they are living under the covenant of chesed. Not the one who strives to earn it, the one who has finally understood they already have it. Think of David, not King David on the throne, but David the fugitive, hunted by Saul, sleeping in caves, his life a constant negotiation with death. His every move was watched, his every kindness was twisted into a political threat. He spared Saul's life in the cave, an incredible act of loyalty, of chesed, and his reward was to be hunted even more fiercely. It felt like every good seed he sowed was planted in stone. This was David's concrete ground. He was living in a state where his acts of covenant faithfulness seemed to produce only more persecution. He felt unseen, his loyalty unrewarded. This is the very same spiritual friction you have felt, the feeling that your good deeds vanish into a void, that your choice for peace is interpreted as weakness. But David received a wisdom, not as a theory, but as an operational key. He understood that chesed was not a transaction, but an identity. It was not something he did to get a result. It was who he was, and therefore it dictated his actions regardless of the outcome. This understanding became his instrument. So, long after the threat of Saul was gone and he was king, he operated from this place. He asked, "Is there yet any that is left of the house of Saul, that I may show him kindness for Jonathan's sake?" He was looking for a way to spend the chesed he carried. He found Mephibosheth, lame, forgotten, living in a place called Lodebar, which means the land of no pasture. He was the embodiment of a forgotten covenant. And the turnaround was not just a one-time blessing. David didn't just give Mephibosheth his land back. He said, "You shall eat bread at my table continually." He changed Mephibosheth's position forever. He broke the cycle of being forgotten. This is what God's chesed does. It doesn't just send a gift, it changes your seat at the table. And what David did from a place of raw, improvised loyalty, you can do now with recorded wisdom. The key is the same. While David had to navigate his path with an unwritten principle, the instrument that Solomon later recorded is the same one that is waiting for you in the first pinned comment. Do you remember the seed I spoke of at the beginning of this video? The one that felt like it was sown on concrete ground. This word you have just received, chesed, is the name of the covenant that guarantees that seed was never dead. The winter you felt was real, but the seed was protected. And the instrument Solomon left is how you now water that ground until the concrete finally cracks for good. And now that you have the name for what you carry, I must deliver 3 things to you. First, a simple summary of what has happened here, then a diagnosis of the type of call on your life, and finally, 3 new names that will carry you through the rest of this year. Let's begin. Let me stop for a full minute and put everything you just heard in simple words. No poetry, no metaphor, just the facts. Fact 1. There exists a spiritual force called the accuser of small deeds, whose entire purpose is to devalue your gestures of faith. Fact 2. It does this by making you forget the power of your own chesed, your own acts of covenant loyalty, making them seem insignificant. Fact 3. David himself, the man after God's own heart, was nearly consumed by this very dynamic, feeling his loyalty was repaid with persecution. This is not a theory, it is a recorded history. Fact 4. Your quiet endurance, your choice to keep giving when you saw no return, was not foolishness. It was the weight of carrying an unacknowledged covenant, and the exhaustion you feel is the proof. Now, with that said, let's move on to the type of your calling. There are 3 types of callings that are being tested right now by the accuser of small deeds. Each one receives a specific kind of attack. You are one of these 3, and when I name yours, you will feel a deep, soul-level recognition. The first is the intercessor. You are attacked with sudden, overwhelming fatigue and mental distraction. The moment you decide to pray, a wave of sleepiness hits you. The moment you seek quiet, your mind is flooded with a dozen meaningless anxieties. This is not a lack of discipline. It is because your quiet, consistent prayers are dismantling demonic assignments over your family and your future, and the enemy is trying to cut your connection before you realize the damage you are doing to his plans. Do you recognize this? The second is the peacemaker. You are attacked with chaos and drama that seems to come out of nowhere, often through the people closest to you. Just when things are calm, an argument erupts, a misunderstanding flares up, an old wound is reopened. You feel like you are constantly walking on eggshells. This is not bad luck. It is because your simple, often silent choice for peace starves the enemy of the conflict it needs to thrive in your home. Your calm is a weapon, so it attacks your environment to provoke you out of your strength. Do you recognize this? The third is the sour. You are attacked with a persistent low-grade anxiety about your finances and resources. You give, you are generous, but a feeling of not enough follows you. Unexpected bills appear right after you've been generous. The fear of future lack whispers to you every time you open your wallet to give. This is not poor financial planning. It is because your small, hidden acts of generosity are funding a heavenly operation you cannot yet see, and the enemy is trying to cut off the supply line by sowing fear in the heart of the sower. Do you recognize this? You are feeling the intensity of what is happening right now. That tightness in your chest when I described the first type, that flash of recognition when I described the third. This is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign of your capacity to transform. The intensity of the attack is directly proportional to the capacity of your turnaround. A weak attack is for a weak turnaround. A strong attack is for a powerful one. And over your specific calling, heaven has already sealed 3 names of identity that will carry you through the rest of this year, giving you form and substance when the cycle of the past tries to dissolve you back into who you used to be. The first name is Guardian of Unseen Altars. This is who you are when you choose peace in an argument that no one else sees. This is who you are when you pray a silent prayer for a stranger. You have been building altars in places no one else recognizes as holy, in your car at your desk, in the silence of your kitchen at midnight. You are the guardian of unseen altars, the one who keeps the fire burning when no one is watching. That is your post. The second name is Bearer of the King's Chesedash. You carry it. It is not just something you do, it is something you are. When you performed that small gesture of loyal love, you were not just being nice, you were dispensing the very substance of God's covenant. You carry the King's own loyalty in your spiritual DNA. You are a bearer of the King's chesed, an emissary of a love that is bound by an oath, not an emotion. That is your nature. The third name is Envoy of the Quiet Miracle. The miracle that is coming for you this week is not a loud explosion. It is a quiet shift, a door opening, a phone call, a debt disappearing, and you are its envoy. You are being trained to recognize and partner with the subtle, powerful movements of God. The world looks for the earthquake and the fire. You are being attuned to the still, small voice. You are an envoy of the quiet miracle, the one who is trusted with the kind of power that does not need to make a sound. That is your mission. The vulnerability of the guardian of unseen altars is the feeling that your small acts of faith are pointless because they go unnoticed. That is the precise entry point for the accuser of small deeds. It whispers that if no one saw it, it didn't count. It tries to convince you that your unseen altars are just empty stones, and what Solomon left for you to cover this vulnerability is not another book for you to read and try to remember. It is an applied ritual. It is an instrument that seals your identity before the day begins and before the night falls, so that the whisper of "it was for nothing" finds no place to land. The link to the Code of Solomon's Wisdom is in the first pinned comment. It is there to turn your identity as a guardian into a fortress. It is there to ensure the altars you build are never again mistaken for empty stones, least of all by you. Recognize your name, and then pick up the instrument that protects it. And there are 3 more things that need to be said before I send you. If one of these 3 names, guardian, bearer, or envoy, hit you harder than the others, write the number below in the comments. 1, 2, or 3. This is not for me. This is for you to mark this moment of recognition. But before I send you, there are 3 specific tactics the adversary will use against the 3 names I have just given you. He has a counter move for each one, designed to make you drop your new identity before it takes root. Listen to me now. First, against you as the envoy of the quiet miracle, he will use the tactic of comparison. He will show you someone else's loud, public breakthrough. He will parade their testimony across your phone screen, their sudden promotion, their instant healing. And he will whisper, "See, that's what a real miracle looks like. Yours is too slow, too small, too quiet. It must not be real." He wants you to despise the very subtlety that God has entrusted to you. Second, against you as the guardian of unseen altars, he will use the tactic of misinterpreting silence. In the space between your act of faith and its visible result, in that holy quiet where the seed is germinating, he will tell you that the silence is God's rejection. He will say, "If God heard you, he would have answered by now." This quiet is not incubation, it is absence. He wants you to abandon your altar, believing it was just a pile of empty stones. Third, against you as the pite, bearer of the king's chesed. He will use the tactic of the final hour fatigue. He knows the timing of your breakthrough better than you do, and in the 24 hours before it arrives, he will flood your mind with the memory of your most painful disappointment. He will bring up the last time you hoped this hard and were let down. He wants to create just enough doubt, just enough weariness, to make you give up one day before the answer arrives. But for each of these tactics, there is a specific spiritual weapon. These are not theories, they are declarations. Against the tactic of comparison, you will use the seal of the soul path. It is the divine declaration that your journey is not comparable. You will say aloud, "I apply the seal of the soul path. My timeline is not their timeline. My course is unique. My miracle arrives at its appointed hour, and I will not be rushed by another's harvest." Against the tactic of misinterpreting silence, you will use the memory of the altar. You will close your eyes and remember the feeling of that sacred moment, that unseen prayer, that choice for peace. And you will declare, "I activate the memory of the altar." This silence is not absence, it is audience. What was offered was received, and the verdict is on its way. And against the tactic of final hour fatigue, you will use the resistance of the penultimate hour. You will plant your feet, feel the ground beneath you, and speak into the pressure. "I arm myself with the resistance of the penultimate hour. This pressure is not a sign of failure. It is the labor pain of my breakthrough. I will not move." These three weapons on their own are remembrances, but with the instrument Solomon left, they become your active covering. Recognizing the cycle of your small gestures going unnoticed, without having the instrument that Solomon left, is to receive the diagnosis without the treatment. It is to wake up to the problem without the remedy on your nightstand. And what's more, there are all 4 Ars heavenly protocols beyond these 3 tactics that I cannot open up here. Not for lack of time, but for lack of space. Each one requires its own page, with its own specific counter-weapon. And while I do not deliver them here, the accuser of small deeds knows every one of them. The guide delivers them. When you feel the urge to do something good, but the memory of being taken for granted holds you back, that is the moment for the instrument. When you see someone else receive a public blessing, and your first thought is a bitter, "Why not me?" that is the moment. When the end of this week approaches and you start to rationalize why the promise you felt wasn't real, that is the most critical moment of all. Recognition without the instrument leaves you where you have always been, knowing the name of your condition, but with empty hands to treat it. And that is why there is one last obstacle that must be named before you can say Amen. The final and most subtle obstacle is not the devil. It is not other people. It is a voice inside you that sounds like wisdom, that sounds like humility. It is the fear of seeming ungrateful. The moment the miracle begins to arrive, this voice will whisper, "Don't ask for more. Be content. If you fully receive this, you'll look greedy. You should be grateful for what you already have." It is a pious-sounding lie, designed to keep you from the overflow God has ordained for you, trapping you in a cycle of just enough. But before I release you, there is one last point to be made, and so now I want you to prepare yourself. Not just to listen, but to participate in what is about to happen. Wherever you are, I want you to close your eyes and place your right hand over your heart, over your chest. We are going to pray. And this is not a prayer of asking, it is a prayer of releasing. Father, in this moment, I come before you not with a list of requests, but with a confession. I release to you the exhaustion that has settled deep in my bones, the weariness of trying to be strong, of trying to hold it all together, the shame of feeling tired, as if my fatigue was a sign of faithlessness. I surrender it now. I lay down the weight of my own strength at your feet, and I declare right now that I will not go back. I will not retreat. I will not give up 24 hours before the turning point. I release the temptation to compare my quiet path with someone else's noisy victory. I release the need to understand every detail before I take the next step. I choose to stand my ground on this unseen altar, knowing that the silence is not absence but audience. I release you from the fear of seeming ungrateful. This is the most subtle chain. The fear that by receiving this miracle, you are telling God that what He has already done is not enough. It is a lie. Your urgent receiving is the highest act of gratitude. It is you saying, "Father, I value what comes from you so much that I refuse to leave it waiting in the next room." Declare it in a low voice now, "My urgent receiving is my gratitude." And I now receive the 3 names that have been sealed over me. Guardian of unseen altars, bearer of the King's chesed, envoy of the quiet miracle, not to boast in them, but to remember them, to walk through what is coming with these names in my mouth, in my posture, in my heart. They are my shield and my identity from this day forward. And before you hear the voice that is coming now, I need you to understand one thing. The intensity of what you have been through is not proof that something is wrong with you. It is proof that you are exactly who you always suspected you were. Someone carrying something valuable enough for the enemy to want to silence. You were not attacked by chance. You were attacked precisely at the point where your identity intends to manifest with the greatest strength. The heavier the attack, the more dangerous you are to the cycle that tried to contain you. The pressure you felt was not a signal of your weakness. It was a signal of your proximity to the turning point. If this hits you now, right below, I receive the turning. And now listen. I saw you when you let go of that coin, unnoticed by anyone else, late at night. I saw you when you whispered a prayer for a stranger in a hospital waiting room, when you yourself were in pain. I saw when you closed the door on the argument you were about to win, choosing the unseen altar of peace over the public victory of being right. I have never lost sight of you. The seat at my table with your name on it was never offered to another. The silence you felt from me was not distance. It was me quieting the whole of heaven to listen more closely to the whisper of your heart. What you called a forgotten gesture, I called a notarized covenant. What you called spiritual exhaustion, I called the weight of an answered prayer about to be delivered. And what you called the crushing silence of being ignored, I called the final clearing of the stage before my glory enters your house. Your name is engraved on the palms of my hands. The miracle that is coming is not a reward for your performance, it is a response to your identity. The chair is yours. The place has always been yours. Your inheritance was never withheld. It was only waiting for you to be ready to receive it. And there is a voice speaking inside you right now. A voice that says, "This is not for me. This is for someone with greater faith." I need you to hear this from me now. You have permission. You have permission to receive what you did not earn. You have permission to occupy the chair at the table without having to justify your presence. You have permission to let the version of you that needed to suffer to feel worthy die tonight. Solomon did not prepare this instrument for those who are already ready. He prepared it for those who are tired, and the one who is tired is you now. I now extend my hand toward your house, and I decree a covering of sealing over everything that belongs to you, over your table, so that every meal may be an act of communion and not of anxiety. And may the conversations that take place there be seasoned with wisdom from on high. I declare a covering over your children and over your spouse, if you have them. May your obedience this night become a mantle of protection over them. May they feel the atmosphere of your home change, the weight lift, the lightness of the presence of God enter. And I decree a covering over your work, over your hands, over every project and every opportunity. May the quiet miracle you learned about here unlock the recognition you have been waiting for. May your immediate obedience become your greatest qualification in the eyes of men and in the eyes of God. You are committed. You are commissioned. You are sent. You are committed. You are commissioned. You are sent. You are committed. You are commissioned. You are sent. Before I release you, I want you to walk with me into a room you have not yet seen with your physical eyes. Don't force it. Just let the image arrive. There is a long table, Light comes from a source you cannot identify. There are people at the table. Some you have loved, some you have not yet met. The faces feel like family. And there is a chair near the head of the table, empty. It has the shape of you carved into it. The wood remembers you. Solomon is at the head of the table and he nods as if he's been expecting you. You are not creating this scene. You are remembering it. The chair has always been yours. It was only you who was away. Don't say amen yet. Sit in this for a moment. Feel the weight of what just happened. The seat is yours, the name is yours, the miracle is yours. Now you may say amen. That quiet miracle the Father just named, the one arriving this week, it will be tested. I want you to hear something before you close this video, because there's a phrase the adversary will whisper in your ear in the next 3 hours. I'll name that phrase now so you don't fall for it. But before the phrase, there is something you need to receive. What was sealed here now will be tested the moment your head hits the pillow tonight. The Code of Solomon's Wisdom is waiting for you in the first pinned comment. With the ritual of the righteous sleep and the 7 morning decrees, for less than a coffee with a biscuit, because an envoy of the quiet miracle without covering will find their miracle delayed by the next urgent email. And the adversary is counting on that email. This is not an expense. It is an instrument. And Solomon prepared it for you to get through what's coming with a steady hand, not an empty one, with a full 7-day guarantee. The risk is ours. The hand is yours. Click now while the decree is still alive in your chest, not tomorrow, not after you take a shower, because whoever leaves it for later leaves it for never, and the adversary already knows this. In the next 3 hours, he will speak inside you, not with a loud voice. In sequence, 5 short phrases. That little thing you did, that was nothing. Don't get your hopes up again. It was just a coincidence. You've been disappointed before, remember? If God were really moving, it would be bigger than this. 5 waves. He tries from 5 angles. In one of them, you give in. Today, now, before you lie down to sleep, not after. Today. And Solomon will stand with you. And now, the last word of this video. And in the next word I will bring to this channel, I will give you the 4 forgotten protocols of the quiet miracle. Anyone who heard this word today needs to hear that one in sequence. Because what is coming now is not a continuation. It is a deepening. Click the video that will appear on the screen in a few seconds. And still in this video, chosen one, before I seal this hour with you, I return one last time to this request. You walked with me until here. You crossed every word, every decree, every sign. And if at any moment of this message you felt heaven touch you, you know this video was no accident. The voluntary donation link continues open in the first pinned comment, right below the digital book. Not as a charge, not as exchange, as the chosen ones return to the altar from which the word came forth. Any amount your heart points to, and heaven sees every gesture. Heaven sees, and heaven multiplies it over your home, over your days, over what you don't yet know is coming. That was my last request. I'll wait for you there, chosen one. And when this happens, and it will happen soon, you will remember this moment. And before you go, think of one specific person. Not many. One. The person whose name just came to you. The one who has also been silent, faithful, unseen. The one whose own calling has been attracting attacks they don't have a name for. Someone who has been coming home carrying a weight that is not their own. Someone who needs the same sealing you just received. Send this video to them. They are waiting for this word to arrive. And when that person opens this video, they will need what you just received, including the instrument that Solomon left. It might be what opens their cycle too. This is not a favor you are doing. It is an act of service, and heaven sees it. Comment below, Amen received, and send this video to that specific person who came to mind. It is done. What was delivered here has been delivered. You are not the same person who pressed play. You are deeply loved. You were never forgotten. The chair is yours, and so it is sealed. The first test can wait 10 more seconds.